Welcome back. We have more now. The Senate President who has dismissed insinuation in some quarters that a frosty relationship exists between the executive and the legislative arm of government. Well, he's also talked about the loan issue with the lawmakers, describing it as a work in progress.
The one thing I want you have been discussing with the President after prayers today.
I've come here to pray. I've finished praying and just have a general felicitation with the President. I don't think that doesn't go beyond that.
Nigerians will be wondering at the relationship with the executive now, especially having turned down the money that the President wanted to borrow.
No, I don't think you can look at that as anything as a reflection of the relationship. What about the things that we have passed and accepted? So don't let us politicize very important issues. As we said, this is a work in progress. Nothing to worry about.
From there to the nation's capital, Abuja, where Gloria Mitsoge is standing by with more on the news at 10. Hi, Gloria.
Well, thank you, Amarachi. The Vice President has been speaking on the reason behind the federal government's plan to borrow $30 billion from foreign financial institutions, saying it is aimed at bridging the nation's infrastructural deficit. The Vice President Yemi Osinbajo said this today at a colloquium organized by the Coalition of Nigerian Apostolic Leaders in Lagos to brainstorm on some pressing national issues. The Vice President also took time to explain the ongoing reforms by the federal government.
Against the backdrop of challenges facing the nation, religious leaders are tasking the government on the way forward. This is the reason for this brainstorming session put together by a coalition of Nigerian apostolic leaders.
Our ministries cannot be confined to the four walls of our buildings. We also believe that you cannot transform a nation until you can transform its individuals, a role which the church is eminently qualified to do.
The Minister of Information, Lai Mohammed, gets to the podium to deliver his keynote address. He speaks on the federal government's intervention in three key areas, which are the economy, the fight against corruption, and security.
It was found that if just 1/3 of the stolen funds could be recovered, it will provide the country with 635 kilometers of dual carriageways, which is equivalent to 6 Lagos-Ibadan expressway. It will also build, in addition, 36 ultra-modern hospitals. That is 1 modern hospital per state. There will still be enough money to build 183 schools, educate 3,974 children from primary school to university level at the cost of 25 million per child. And it was also built us 20,062 units of 2-bedroom houses.
It's time for the Vice President to speak, as he immediately points out the high-level corruption and faulty economic structure based on excessive imports and oil dependency.
We're trying to run the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway and the second Niger Bridge as PPPs. So we've created vehicles, SPVs, that enable other people to invest in it aside from government.
And to the religious leaders, what's the action plan for this colloquium?
That's right. I expect pastors and many of the people that have been here today to go, for instance, into farming. Look at farming. Look at, if you want to build a house, look at housing.
Channels Television also had an exclusive interview with the Vice President on the proposed $30 billion borrowing plan.
A comment by a legislature is not sufficient at all to amount to an indictment. Many people make comments about various things, and it's certainly not sufficient to be an indictment. It's a formal process.
No doubt, this colloquium shows that Nigerians are relentlessly waiting for a visible change in all aspects of the economy, a move that needs the government and the people to work together.
Well, no cash for arms returned. These are the words of the Rivers State Governor Nyesom Wike when he received a delegation of the Ijaw National Congress at the State Government House in Port Harcourt, Rivers State. Governor Wike was responding to the suggestion to set up a reintegration and rehabilitation plan for the repentant cultists and suspected criminals who have accepted the government's amnesty program. Our correspondent Emmanuel Ereyi reports.
The chants of occultists at a recent amnesty program of the River State government that offers pardon to cultists and suspected criminals in exchange for their arms and to turn away from criminality. Getting back to the society is a concern for some of the repentant cultists.
Me and my boys, my babbage in the Pt.3 local government, we have come today to surrender, but let you people, the government, look into it and know the solution to the youth in the local government.
That concern is also on the minds of these leaders of the Ijaw National Congress. Led by the president, they are here to present a rehabilitation plan to the state governor.
We believe the Social Development Institute at Okehi, which can take in as many as 600 trainees with 14 different workshops already built and furnished, if resuscitated, would be a critical point at being able to find a rehabilitation and reintegration program for our restive youths.
Governor Nyesom Wike says the plan is acceptable by government, but insists there will not be cash for arms.
What we'll do is to see how we can reintegrate it back to society, for it to be meaningful, for it to be find yourself having an activity to engage yourself in. So those people who have surrendered will have a plan for them to find one or two things they should be doing in order to earn a living.
Then it gets into election matters. Although INEC has fixed the new dates for the conclusion of the legislative polls, the governor says the controversy surrounding the results of Thai local government area is still unresolved.
Of the kind of danger or kind of crisis that this present INEC will cause in Nigeria. Election that was going on the 19th of March, INEC the same day, around 1 p.m., suspended elections in 8 local government areas, which the whole Nigeria had on television or radio, on newspapers. The elections were suspended in these 8 local governments because of violence, according to them. Then after about 5-6 months, INEC now comes around to tell us, oh no, there was a result completed in one local government, we didn't know.
Meanwhile, it's expected that the rehabilitation program for the repentant cultists and suspected criminals will start as soon as possible. Emmanuel Ereyi, Channels Television News.
Well, that's it from Abuja. We go over now to Anne for business news.
Thank you, Gloria. Well, welcome back to Lagos. Total transactions carried out by Nigerians over electronic payment systems in the third quarter of this year amounted to 14.7 trillion naira. That's about 24% growth over the previous quarter. Data released today by the Statistics Office shows a volume of strong rising financial transactions done via Nigerian interbank settlement system platform, while checks and automated teller machines trailed. Increase in electronic transactions have also resulted in more frauds across the platforms. Fraud via checks is moderating, as transactions via the traditional paper system accounts for a mere 7.79% of total payments in the last quarter of 2016. Moody's Investors Service has assigned national scale ratings to 7 Nigerian banks. The global rating agency has assigned AA1 national scale local and foreign currency issuer ratings to the Bank of Industry. According to the International Ratings Agency, BOI's national scale ratings capture the bank's robust capital buffers with an equity to assets ratio of 30% as of December 2015, stable liability structure and tangible improvements to governance and risk positioning in recent years. The AAI-1 rating is the second highest of 3 national scale ratings categories, corresponding to BOI's global scale ratings. But last year, Moody's assigned to BOI Ba3, which was in consonance with Nigeria's sovereign rating. Nigeria's largest consumer goods company, Nestle, has reported a whopping 19.4 billion naira foreign exchange loss in the first 9 months of this year. In a quarterly financial statement released today, the food giant posted a net loss of 51.1 million naira. Nestle's net financial charges surged to 376% in the third quarter of 2016 as currency translation loss tops 13.1 billion naira. An investment note issued by Vativa Capital Management shows Nestle could have reported a net profit of 25 billion naira between the month of January and September 2016, but it went down by more than 40%. Transactions at the local stock market ended today's session depressed, with 18 losers against 7 gainers as third quarter earnings season draws to a close. For more on today's trading activity, let's join Bisi Adebayo.
Hello and welcome to the Stock Market Report. A week of negative pressure ends today at the Nigerian stock market as the benchmark index falls deeper into negative territory by 0.23% to end the week at 26,981.60, with total market value at 9.28 trillion naira. Friday's sell-off could be attributed to banks. However, 2 oil and gas bellwethers, Seplat and Total, lost 5% each, while University Press shed 4.89%. Lafarge Africa, Air Service and Africa Prudential Registrars were the top 3 gainers for this session. A total of 151.85 million shares were transacted by investors for 1.2 billion naira value in 2,903 deals. Bank stocks were the major contributors to market turnover, as seen in the shares of Sterling Bank, Zenith Bank and FPNH, which all just received higher ratings by international credit rating agency Moody's. And that ends the stock market reports. I am Bisi Adebayo.
Well, it's been a week of negative performance for most of the world's top equities market, except for Egypt falls today, despite a better than expected U.S. October jobs, as investors prepare for the much-awaited presidential election next week. Let's check out the numbers. That's how we end business news tonight. Thank you so much for watching. I am Anne Nwawade.
Next on the news at 10, Ivorian midfielder Yaya Toure apologizes to Manchester City manager Pep Guardiola over his agent's uncomplimentary remarks. That's in sports news. Just stay with us.